Okay, so I'm making this video to explain the story to everyone who's going to ask what happened, and also it's funny. So we left at midnight to get there at around 9 a.m. because it was a 7.5 hour drive. We're going to a rock festival in Virginia from Ohio. I had messed up sleep because the night before, my class schedule basically just messed up sleep, not very good, restful sleep, only a couple hours. Uneventful so far. We're going there. Me and Brandon just taking turns driving. We're in West Virginia, and I get pulled over, and I get my first ever ticket. He said I was doing 86 into 70, so fair enough, whatever. He put it down as like 75 into 70 instead, so it wouldn't be as bad. Whatever shit happens, I shouldn't have been driving so fast. We are a few hours away, and the Chris's start looking at the subreddit for the event, and apparently they oversold camping spots, are extremely understaffed. So people have been waiting in their cars for 14 hours at the camping spots, not being able to be let into the event or anything, just waiting there. Some people have even run out of gas and had to be towed. So that's like, a looming worry. Maybe we're going to drive all this way and then we're not even going to be able to camp there. We're going to have to like turn around and change our plans and everything, whatever. Uh, Even though we paid for a camping spot, but it's whatever. Surely it's going to be fine. We get there, no line getting in, awesome. They worked through it. They got extra staff and whatever. They search our car. We get in just fine. Everything's good. We go. We set up our tents. Weather's fine for now. Fast forward a few hours, it's starting to get hot, really, really hot. And we're just making sure we're drinking enough water. Our camp's about a 20-minute walk away from the actual concerts. We walk up there, we come back, just see, check everything out. We're told that you're not allowed to bring water bottles in if they're full, so we can only bring in empty water bottles into the venue. But they're supposed to have like a water station, so it's fine. So it's around 1 p.m. now. We decide to go to the venue, like actually go inside. We walk there. By the time we get there, halfway to the concert, I've already finished my water because it's so hot out. I'm drinking and sweating so much. I've been sweating so much this entire time. It's crazy hot out there, very humid. We get to the actual venue after about we get to the actual venue, and then like after about 30 minutes, like waiting in line, we get in, no problem. Everything's good. We wander around for a little bit, and just like looking this whole time, I'm looking for water stations because I'm very thirsty. They said that there's going to be 12 water stations around the venue. Turns out there was only one, and it was completely unmarked, difficult to find, and like pretty far from everything. So we wander around for about 30 minutes. Finally, we find it. At this point, I'm like extremely, extremely overheated and thirsty to a point where I'm feeling very, very unwell. It just keeps getting hotter and hotter. I fill up my water bottle and start drinking it as we're walking to the other side of the venue. Something's playing over there, so we're like, okay, let's go check it out, whatever it is, while we wait for the bands we want to see. Um, by the time we get there, I already drank all my water again, so it was gone. Instantly, I'm feeling like I need more water, but I'm like, well, whatever. I need to lay down for a bit. I need to rest for a bit. And there's no shade, so I lay down. I lay down in the grass. I'm feeling like really weak at this point, and I just need to rest. After about 10 minutes of laying down, I tell my friends that I really, really need more water, so I'm gonna go walk back to the water. Like it's kind of like what is the plan going to be here if I keep needing water this much, like what am I going to do? Am I just going to be staying by the water the whole time? Well, so like this entire time, people are getting wheeled off by EMS golf carts. Like they're getting wheeled off to EMS in golf carts due to dehydration, heat, heat exhaustion, whatever. They're constantly like they're blaring like sirens and lights driving around. You see people like passed out, getting taken off, whatever. It's like that's crazy. um I make it back to the water station after about 15-minute walk. I'm waiting in line, and they run out of water at the water stations. So I didn't even get any. I like felt like I was like using the last of my strength to get that water because I'm like feeling very weak at this point. Entirely out of water on day one out of 4 days. We're only a few hours into when the venue opened, and they're entirely out of water. The whole venue out of water in their water stations. And it turns out they're not getting any more water for at least another 3 days. So I feel really fucked because I feel like I used the last of my energy to get to the water station. I'm feeling pretty out of it. I walk back to my friends. I'm struggling to get there. I walk back to my friends. I mean, I'm just walking really slowly, and I'm feeling, not good. They're also feeling pretty sick because of the heat. So we're all talking. I tell them about what happened, and they're like very surprised. How do you run out of water on day one, only a couple hours in? We all decide, let's go back to our tents. We get more water. We can rest. Come back later. Hopefully, it'll cool off. But it hadn't even gotten as hot as it was going to get for that day. So after 25 minutes, we get back to our tent. We start drinking water, but it's so hot and there's no shade. It's very, very hot in the tent, so that's not an option. We go walk to the woods. We have to jump a fence to get there. I bring my camping chair with me. I'm basically completely out of energy. I don't even know how I was able to jump that fence, but I did it. But I like need to get out of the sun. I need to sit down. I need to rest. I feel like extremely sick and exhausted. We make it to the wood line, and Mobley starts forging a path through the prickers and poison ivy with Brandon following him. I go in right after them. I put my chair in as clear a spot as I can find, and I sit down in the shade. Sitting down feels nice, but it's like extremely hot and humid even in the shade. My water bottle is legitimately hot, not even warm, but hot. I was so out of it that I grabbed water that wasn't in the cooler. I just grabbed one because I was so out of it. Brandon heads back because he wants to go get a chair. Mobley heads back because he's like, yeah, this woods isn't for me. I'm just going to go find somewhere else to hang out. I'm feeling really not well. Mobley ended up getting taken to the EMS because he was so out of it. Then I'm sitting there. I take off my shirt. After about 30 minutes, I start feeling a little bit better, like maybe like 10% better or like 20% better. So I'm like, okay. And I run out of water, run out of the hot water. So I'm like, okay, this is, my peak strength. I need to go back and I need to go get some cold waters from the tents. The tents aren't even far, but it still feels like a Herculean task. I get back there, I get some cold waters for me and Brandon. Um, and then, I go back in there, I sit down, I give Brandon his water, I take my water, and I fall asleep with like my cold waters on my stomach. We both slept for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Then we walk back to the tents. It's getting close to the time one of the bands I want to see is going to play, and I'm feeling a lot better. Brandon's feeling a good amount better too. Everyone is like still feeling pretty like not well, but it's like a lot better than we were. So I'm like, okay, I'm real tired, but like this is one of the three bands that I really came here to see, so I'm going. Like no matter what, I'm going. And we start heading to the venue. We both bring cold waters. We learned you can actually have water in there, and there's no water left, so we're absolutely bringing water no matter what. Within 5 minutes of us arriving at the venue, it starts to rain. Thank God. The rain feels so nice. It's cooling everyone down finally. People are literally cheering. Everyone is so happy, and then it starts raining harder and harder. Hey, that's fine. So long as they still play the music, that's completely fine. After all this, it's like the rain is whatever. That's the least of our worries. It just cools everything down. It's like 5 minutes until the band starts playing. Brandon's waiting in line for food. He's the next guy in line. All of a sudden, a huge lightning strike comes down. I look over to Brandon to see if he saw it. Right as I look, a huge gust of wind starts like knocking things over. There's a 20-foot tall inflatable like sign on top of the food truck that Brandon's at. The sign falls down onto him, crushes him to the ground. I'm like, fuck! Is he okay? Like, holy shit! He gets up, he's fine. It hurt him, but he's fine. I was very relieved because it's just like all of a sudden he just disappears. He's just underneath this thing. But no, he's all good. And the chicken shack, that he was right in the front of, they refused to let him buy food because this crazy storm. He's like super hungry at this point, so that's fucked. He's like out of energy, super hungry. Now there's no way to eat. Then they announce in the speaker the event's going to be postponed due to lightning and storm. Everyone's pissed. People are yelling. We, like a lot of people, instead of evacuating, like they're saying, stay inside the venue, thinking the storm's going to pass because it looks like there's not many clouds. It gets better for about 5 minutes, then it gets really bad again, way worse. It starts pouring like harder, like crazy, crazy hard. Like you can't see anything. That's how hard it's pouring. Then lightning's going rapid fire, the strong wind knocking shit over again, and it starts to get really, really, really cold because this whole time the rain was freezing, and everyone's wearing very light clothes because how hot it was up into this. It was like before you get heat stroke, now you can get hypothermia like immediately. Things are getting blown over. We decide, oh, it's time to go back because it's clear the bands are not going to be playing anytime soon. It's like there has to be like 30 minutes after the last lightning strike within 8 miles till they're going to play. So it's clearly not going to be playing for a long time. We need to get out of this, get into shelter. We get a text from Mobley, and he says, in quotes, shit is getting fucked up, big T. He couldn't even finish typing the message. He stopped at T instead of big time. After 5 minutes, walking back, it starts pouring even harder, like harder than it was. We already like couldn't see it for a lot of it. It goes back to that where you really can't see anything. But it's whatever, it's just rain. Then it starts to hail, and the hail is like hurting. It's like stabbing you, and it's as sharp. It's like hitting really, really hard. The path back is like a racetrack. So there's like tires on the side. I get an idea. We run over to the side. I jump in the tires, and it's like most of my body is covered besides my head. So I take the chair, put it over my head, and we're using it as like shelter. And then it's like covering most of it. It's still freezing. I'm still absolutely freezing, but I'm not getting hit as much. I'm shivering cold. My teeth are chattering at this point. Like it's getting bad. After 5 minutes there, the hail's like calms down. So we get out. We walk a few more minutes, and then as we're looking around, there's countless tents destroyed. Like poles everywhere, tents fucking smashed, upside down. Everything's crazy. Then tents are getting carried off by the wind. Even like the hail then starts again. It's even worse this time. We're all like blocking our eyes because it's like hurting really bad, and if this hits your eyes, like that's not going to be good. We're holding the chairs over our face, and it's so like loud that we can't even hear each other, so we're using hand signals to communicate. I'm like pointing over to the fence. We're like looking at it, like pointing low over to the fence so he can see it. We run over to that fence looking for shelter. We jump the fence, go under a small deck which is like 2 feet tall, super muddy under there, but it's still getting super wet. We're still getting super wet, but it's like taking the impact of the hail. People see us like taking shelter over there, so a bunch of people come running over. Like everyone's jumping the fence. Like some people are getting under there with us, but it's like hiding from the hail. Some people are just hiding behind the fence from it. But at this point, it's like it kind of calms down a little bit, and we're like, fuck it, we need to just get back. Brandon starts running. I run for a little bit, but my pants are so full of water that they're like soaked. I couldn't hold them up and hold my chair at the same time while keeping everything in my pockets. So I just decided, fuck it, I'm just walking back, tanking the damage. Brandon, runs back the rest of the way. Eventually, I catch up, I make it back. Oh yeah, we're back, we're finally back. Chris and Mobley are already there, it's all good. Turns out someone's canopy got lifted by the wind, flew 30 feet into the air, landed on our tents and punctured them, which then in turn allows them to fill with water and get all of our shit completely soaked. So at this point, everything's fucked. Our tents are uninhabitable, the show's canceled for the night, we have nowhere to hide from the rain, everything that wasn't in the car is soaked, all of our sleeping gear, everything. None of us have gotten real sleep in over 24 hours at this point. The only sleep I got was in the fucking woods on the uncomfortable camping chair. We've drank about half of our water supply already on day one, not even like entirely through the day. The venue's completely out of water. The forecast says it's going to rain and thunderstorm for the rest of the 4 days. If you leave your campsite, you cannot come back to the campsite. So you're just fucked. Finally, the rain stops. It looks like it's going to come back soon, so I don't even try to dry myself off with a towel because I'm just going to get wet again. We wait for about an hour. We're cleaning everything up, talking with our neighbors about how crazy this is. Finally, we decide we need to just go to a hotel, figure everything out, and then make a plan after that. So I drive us an hour to a nearby town with a very bad headache, mind you. I'm driving because everyone else has been drinking. It's all good though. Like, I don't mind driving. It's whatever. It just sucks that my head hurts. It's like hard to see. The entire hour drive, the storm does not let up through the entire state of Virginia. There's intermittent lightning the entire time. Hard rain for most of it, making it very hard to see. It's 10 p.m. so it's dark. The roads are like windy and there's people walking along all the roads trying to make it to their hotel or their car or whatever, because a lot of people were parked super far away, like miles away. Those people are trying to hitchhike, whatever. I'm trying not to fucking hit people on these thin, like, windy country roads. But we make it to the hotel, whatever. We make it to the hotel. It's fully booked. Brandon calls we're an hour away and it's fully booked. An hour away from the venue, it's fully booked. Brandon calls all the nearby hotels. They're all fully booked too. We start talking in the lobby to other people, what happened, all that. And we're telling our story as like then the lady like behind the counter hears that we're trying to head back home after just one day of rest. She's like, "Oh, do you guys only need one night?" And she's like, I think we have one room if you only need a night. And it's like, thank God. So we get that room. We sleep for 14 hours. We wake up, go to leave. I change in the parking lot. We drive off. After a few minutes, I'm like, hey, I can't find my phone. I knew I had it in like the parking lot because I had it in my hand when I was changing. We go back to the parking lot, look all over. It's not there. I had it with me. I know I had it with me. We search for about 5 minutes on the parking lot ground. It's nowhere. We check everywhere in the parking lot. It's not there. So, okay, it's got to be in the car. I probably just hidden by, packed up stuff. I search all through. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's got to be just packed up stuff. Check under the chair, everywhere, nowhere to be found. But clearly, it'll show up once things are unpacked. We drive home uneventfully and unpack. My phone is not there. My phone is just completely gone, never to be seen again. I still had fun though. It was a fun trip regardless.